Thank you.
Is there like a stream of like 200 other people trying to get in the door? Yeah, okay, so we'll wait. Do you want to read this first? Yeah, we can.
Really? I know. It's my third cup already. Sign in just so we know.
7 o'clock? Yes.
Office?
Yeah.
It turns out the water heater that he created for was just turned on really low.
Oh, you know what, that's just like, yeah.
You take a drink of water, you look at your hands.
So it's not super water in our bottle, like it's not a boiler. Yeah, we should do it for our basement. That's my structure. Yeah, that's the. Oh, I'm sure it would. The other thing is that mine goes to 2 different floors. It does the basement floor, and then there's a pipe that goes up to my master bathroom floor. Yeah, until it doesn't work.
I lost so many cups.
It's important.
Already my third cup.
It's weird, but it should be working, and it's like, check the water meter. That would be it.
Oh, did you miss that?
I need to
Yeah.
do something.
Of course, she has pink headphones. And you've got the link recording?
So it's recording now, so they can be.
So be careful what we say.
Watch it. Yeah.
It's,
Sounds like.
is there someone in the baseball?
Did you connect with Paul?
Yeah.
Conversation?
Yeah, I did.
It all made sense to him then?
Yeah, he was just, his main question, his main concern was, they want to address if the door was left open by custodian or where the breach in security was, and I assured him that it wasn't a regular thing, that, yeah, you were, right. So we're all good.
And he reminded me. Why did you? 18 boxes.
You're gonna open the door, get your keys out and open the door every time?
Yes.
Oh,
So
Which then I got the outside, I pulled the car up. So it was between that piece of my car being pulled out of the curb, going back to the car. I was like, there's no way that I was gonna be. And I didn't even have it.
oh, I see. You don't have one of those exterior keys?
Not for that one, that doesn't have, I don't think that.
It does. The one I go to, right by the handicap spot,
Yeah.
if you have the exterior key, it works fine. Does your father work at night?
Yes.
It's this one. This is for the whole district. It's that shape. It works for all. It works for all the District 67 buildings. Exterior doors only. Do all teachers find they work all the time, right? Me too. Yeah. Got it. But it works 24/7 for them.
And that's not the case with elections. They need like parents of they're not coded.
We'll take that under consideration.
when it's necessary. You should be able to trust your employees, right? But you gotta go in and put in some work and look at it. You shouldn't feel right. Students suffer a little, you would imagine. Teachers can't get in and do work. Yeah, that's the age-old adage that you're gonna punish everyone for the mistake of one person.
Like you say. Okay, you know what, you would like to
Well, yeah, you gotta, sometimes you gotta leave your house to,
No,
you know, leave your kids at home to get work done. Really to that.
Should we go ahead and get started? I'm sure we'll have some stragglers, but thank you for coming. This is our emotional wellness committee hosting the parents' emotional wellness support. And this is the second year we've done a tech talk, so we called it Tech Talk version 2. Today's speakers, we've got Officer Conrad Christensen, and we also have Mike, our intern, joining us this morning. They're up first to talk about safety with technology and our children. And then Amy Lamberti, of course, is our District 67 technology coach, and she's here to talk about her world. And then Susie O will be coming in later to talk about some of the resources that your kids are using in school and how we can help with the apps at home that they're using for homework and for practicing, all those kinds of things. So this is meant to be an open dialogue, question, you know, we want to give you the information that you're looking for. So feel free to type in and let's make it a two-way communication. I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Again, my name is Conrad Christensen. I'm the District 67 Resource Officer. I'm from Lake Forest Police Department. Not to give you too much background, I've been a police officer for about 10 years. I was a correctional officer for 3 years before that, so about 13 years of law enforcement experience. I came into the district January of 2014, so I've been doing this almost 2.5 years. Learned a ton, and in terms of being a middle school resource officer, this is no question the #1 issue that a middle school resource officer deals with. I kind of had, I think, a little bit of a misconception when I first started, thinking it would be more about drugs and alcohol. And in this community, while maybe some of that is going on, I don't think it's very widespread. And most of the questions I get involve technology, social media, internet. So it seems like the natural transition. When I first started, I realized the natural transition is to when your kid leaves Everett, Sheridan, or Cherokee, when they go over to 5th grade, a lot of kids, that's when their parents give them a smartphone. What I don't think parents realize is that how big of a decision that is and the ramifications that it can have. It really is a big deal. You are giving your kids the keys to the car, basically, a sports car, if you give them an iPhone. I have a more formal presentation that we did over at Deer Path. A lot of my education is focused on 5th through 8th grade. I've done a lot of training and gone to, actually the department, the Lake Forest Police Foundation sent me to San Diego even for training on this issue. So I feel like I have a pretty good handle on what kids from 5th to 8th are doing. I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity today. But like she said, it's going to be a lot more of an open forum. I do have a few things that I'm going to discuss sort of off the cuff. But if any of you have any questions for the next few minutes, feel free, and then I'll be here at the end. So this week has been a strange week. On Monday, I got called in at 6:30 p.m. It was an incident hopefully you'll be reading about in the newspaper in a couple weeks. We're building a good case. It's involving an underage student and an adult. So some serious inappropriate things going on. Obviously, technology is weaved into almost all of these incidents now. So she was doing things on her phone that her parents were completely unaware of. And that is turning into a very serious criminal investigation. Last night, just as the high school day was ending, they had a sexting incident reported to them between 2 high school students. So I'm in the very beginning stages of investigating that incident. But I can tell you what you do now and what you impose on your children now are going to go a long way towards what they do in high school and when they become adults. So it needs to start now in terms of That's okay. It's no problem.
Perfect timing.
You need to start.
Thank you.
I think the kids in high school now are the first kids to start really having this technology most of their life without anything being imposed on them. I think people like Amy and I are starting to get very aggressive in terms of the education and the prevention now. And I was just telling her, my eighth graders now are going to be the first students to go to high school who have heard my sexting talk in 7th grade. So I'm going to be very interested to see how they react and how they navigate through high school, because I can tell you, getting a sense of a couple of these investigations that we've been doing over at the high school, it's widespread and pretty rampant in this community. There's no question about it. So.
Are you going to be giving us any information about that? Or?
I can't really talk about it because it's.
Well, I mean, not case specific, but just so we can.
Yes, and I'm happy to answer any questions. But in terms of K through 4, that's definitely more Amy's area.
I have a 5th grader and a freshman too.
Right.
So I appreciate all the.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Amy can certainly speak to your children here at Everett. I can speak very much towards what we're doing and what I'm doing in between 5th and 8th grade. In terms of the technology talks and things that we're doing and incidents that I've handled. But yeah, I mean, I kind of lost my train of thought. You said I'm going to try to give you as much information without obviously giving away any sort of names or as much detail as possible. But yeah, the girl, she's just as responsible as the boy in this case. And depending on what they're doing, here's what I will tell you. When I called the mother last night, the mother of the male, after I confiscated his phone, now it's a piece of evidence. We call it evidence because it's a criminal investigation. If we're talking about inappropriate pictures of underage subjects, it's child pornography. No way around it. These are crimes, and if they come to the police department, they're investigated as crimes. And when I talk to the kids in 7th grade, I tell them the same thing. I don't beat around the bush. I don't lie to them because they're smart kids and they know they can figure out, they can see through some of the big tough talk. So I give it to them straight. So yes.
If I can put a perspective for our elementary students, what has been focused on here at Everett, and it's just a couple isolated cases, but children bringing either a cell phone, taking it out of their pocket, so having that during the school day, or the watches, and it has like videos and the camera, feature, and that's why at this point they're fortunate to have their Chromebooks and they're learning how to navigate and make decisions as far as when they're using the internet and things like that, and we feel like they're just learning, and having that, and by potentially making an impulsive decision, a couple kids have just taken random pictures. We just don't want it. We don't want to be at school because we feel they're still learning to make safe, responsible choices. So I will confiscate it and then call the parent just to say, you have to talk with your child. They really don't need those watches at school. And a phone, we get it. Like if the child's walking home and they want to have that cell phone, keep it in your backpack. And we really don't want to see it because the child doesn't need it for learning during the school day. But that's the early stage. I realize it's much different once they get older.
When I first started, you have to understand, I came from Midnight Patrol, and Amy and I had a conversation very early on, and I was learning a lot about school districts and the way schools work and the type of people who are educators and how I'm coming from a very different place than educators are, okay? So I came in and I said, why does a 5th grader have a phone? And Amy kind of had to explain to me, well, this is the way the world works now. The lid is off. We're not putting it back. So we have to learn to deal with it. And I've come around to that point of view. Like, I understand if your kid's in 5th grade, you want to give them a phone, but what you can't do is just give them complete free reign of technology. That's really what it comes down to. That's what parents need to realize, is that the kids are not mature enough to handle drugs and alcohol, and drugs and alcohol should be coupled right in with the technology because it can be just as dangerous. It really can. And I like I said, I could tell you all day long about real life examples that I or my unit, my investigations unit has handled. So, Amy, without rambling too much, and then I'll go into a few of my talking points. Amy was talking about a 2nd grader who posted a picture on Instagram of another student from their school. I can't tell you, one thing we can agree on is we don't think that the elementary school kids should be having phones. That is she and I just spoke about this the other day. If your kid's in kindergarten through 4th grade, I can't give you a good reason why your child would need a phone. I think if I was told correctly, the parent said, well, my child walks, when the parent was brought in to address this issue, because the 2nd grader posted a picture of another 2nd grader on Instagram. I mean, like I said, how many questions do I have that I would love to ask? But the reason the parent gave for the 2nd grader having the phone was because he needed to walk from the bus to the school, the bus stop to home and home to the bus stop. There's an article that was just posted, and I forget who the news source was, that Lake Forest is the safest community in Illinois, #1. I don't know what measurements they used, but it's the safest community, especially for kids in elementary school. I don't think safety is a reason to give your child a smartphone. I really don't. Not here. If we're talking about this community, that's just not something that I see as a valid reason. So that was something that I found very interesting. And then obviously in 4th grade, they had an incident of inappropriate searching on a school computer. That stuff is going to come up. But imagine if it's not a school computer and it's a device that you've given your child in 4th grade. I mean, it just kind of boggles my mind. So
Because we have the filters.
on the Chromebooks, yes,
Exactly.
which can be pretty effective. But remember, when your son or daughter takes the Chromebook home, the filters are not there anymore. Am I correct on that?
So we have filters still going through our Google accounts, but your home network is something that you do need to pay attention to. So if they're not using our Chromebook and they're on your home computer,
Your Wi-Fi at home, right?
so they're on your network, then there's a whole different level. So we do continue to monitor it through our Chromebooks. But in 4th grade, they're not going home.
Right.
So when they get to 5th grade, that's when that protection piece happens.
Got it. So one thing, again, I have a very formal presentation that I gave to DPM. I can send the link to Laura. It's archived, but this is going to be, it's archived on YouTube. You can go and watch it. It's got, I think, like 1.5 million hits now. I mean, I was blowing up the internet. I'm just kidding, obviously. But it's kind of dry and boring when you're not there. I think this is a much more effective way to view this. But if you're looking for more information, or you have a group that you think of middle school age parents or even high school parents that you think I could come and talk to, get my information from Dr. Sacco or Laura. I'd be more than happy to spread this around, because my boss is really looking for me. They've invested money in me to do these types of talks in the community, and I'm trying to get out and get the word out as much as I can to parents or whoever, corporate groups, local businesses, whatever, because everybody has kids and they're all parents and we're all dealing with this stuff. In terms of elementary school age kids, K through 4, the couple things that Amy and I kind of talked about coming from my perspective, screen time limits is, I think, the #1 thing as an elementary parent you need to be thinking about. I compare it to a bowl of candy. I'm sort of a chocolate addict, right? If you set a bowl of Snickers in front of me, I'm going to eat most of it, or if not all of it, in one sitting, right? I don't think technology is any different. You need to start imposing this stuff when your kids are younger. It's going to help you learn the technology earlier on. It's going to help you become an investigator like me, and start investigating and really digging into what your child is doing. But it's also going to impose those limits for later on. The child is used to having those restrictions put on them. And when they do eventually get that smartphone, you can hopefully naturally transition to that. So in terms of screens, we also want to talk about, and I'm guilty of this too, computer, television, any screen, right? A kid shouldn't just be sitting in front of a screen all day long, obviously. It's not good for them, right? When I was probably in about 3rd grade, I think my grandpa bought me a Nintendo without my mom's permission. I played it all Christmas break, right? And I came back from school the first day and my mom had sold my Nintendo because she realized it was bad for me, right? Because I didn't get outside at all. It's the same lesson, just way back then, different technology. You can't sit in front of a screen all day long. And as adults, I'm sure we're guilty of that to a certain extent, but we need to start imposing this on the whole family. Mom, dad, kids, everybody. Filtering is a big thing. I struggle with the technology probably just as much as you do. The one great example that Amy gave me was YouTube and how easy it is to put those restrictions on YouTube. So if you don't have a YouTube account that you've set up in your name with your password, go ahead and do that. That's in almost all these websites. If your child is going to be on them a lot, they all allow you to set up an account. And then when you finally set up that account, you can go into those security restrictions or the restriction section and start imposing those restrictions, especially on a child under the age of 5th grade, because we don't want them getting in the YouTube rabbit hole, right? and those videos autoplay, and something inappropriate comes up, and now they click on the next one and the next one, and then the next thing you know, they're watching something completely inappropriate. I did have a case involving a 4-year-old who was lashing out at their peers at their preschool, and the mom suspected it was because they've been catching her watching these violent YouTube videos that they put on PBS, and they walk away, and 5 minutes later, she's watching superheroes, kids at home beating each other up or whatever, So, again, obviously the monitoring is big, but we can also do a lot with filtering as well. Just naturally not giving our children access to that. In terms of screen, I forgot to mention, in terms of screen time limits, American Academy of Pediatrics is a good website that Amy gave me. It's aappublications.org. And we can send it to you if you need it afterwards. aappublications.org. That's a good one in terms of if you're looking for answers and you're sort of confused about what the hours to impose or whatever. That's a good resource. I think the biggest thing to sort of kind of wrap up what I've done today, and I'll be here for questions at the end, or if you want to ask questions now, that's good. I think the biggest thing, and Amy and I talked about, and I've seen this, especially with high school kids, but with elementary school kids as well. If you see a rapid change in behavior, that's when a red flag should go up. If your son or daughter is doing something that's out of the norm for them, and you think it might be related to technology, that's when you need to start investigating and really getting involved. At the younger age, it's not as serious of things, but once they get into high school, I can tell you that a rapid change of behavior is a huge red flag, and technology is either almost always a part of it or could be the source of it. So those are kind of just the few things I wanted to offer up today. We're teaching a lot in 5th and 7th grade and 6th grade. I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do next year in 8th grade. But 5th grade, we do kind of a general internet safety. 6th grade, we do cyberbullying. 7th grade, we do internet, sort of like an internet predator, sexting, social media kind of presentation. Like I said, 8th grade, I haven't figured out exactly what my formal lesson is going to be. But before I leave this position, my goal is to have a complete program in place that just rolls on year after year after year, that the kids hear from the police department every year that they're at Deer Path. So that's kind of everything I do. Kind of summed up very quickly. Yes.
So I'm glad you're here. But have you done the 7th grade sexting class? Have you given that talk yet?
I go through the health classes, so they're very small groups,
Right.
and I give them a lot of opportunity, hopefully to ask questions. I don't get a ton of questions. They're kind of blown back in their seat when I start talking about crimes and things that they just accept as normal that are actually criminal behavior, especially in 7th grade. So I go, if your child has been through the health rotation, they have heard it. If they have not, then they will be hearing it. I think there's 2 rotations left for the rest of this year. So those groups are usually 12 to 15, maybe 17 students, less than 20 usually. And so it's very intimate. I like to do it a lot, so it's hopefully a little, I don't just give one big presentation, in the auditorium, because I think that's a little bit, I don't think the message we get across as effectively. So, yes.
Is there any sort of community parent advocate group that is, I always think, I heard a horrible story a couple weeks ago, and I was like, gosh, we almost need, remember Mad Mothers Against Drunk Driving, where there was sort of, like that. I think this is sort of the issue of our time. Yeah, I was thinking about it.
Well, again, Amy will tell you, you don't need against technology, right? We just need to teach the good behaviors.
But even if there's some sort of sense of, that says, because I think it's so brilliant that you're here right now.
I know the APT wellness, emotional wellness. I know that they do a lot to try to get the word out, and they put on stuff like this. In terms of something formal, I'm not aware of anything.
Lead is in town, but they're more against.
That's drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. I feel like this is an entirely different issue, but it's something that, I don't know, there was a story a couple weeks ago, and I was so horrified. I just could not stop thinking about it. I'm like, gosh, you almost wish there was a place you could go to that says, okay, let's come together as a community. This is here. Technology is here. Let's find something we're all sort of comfortable with, like set guidelines that we can kind of like say as a community, okay, these are things that we kind of want to, like you said, most people get phones in 5th grade. So this is sort of like new. I have a 3rd grader.
Yeah.
But we say, okay, if you have a phone in 5th grade, what are the guidelines? I mean, not everyone's going to follow it. But if we kind of come together and like say,
Best practice.
Yeah, and just at least put it out there. And if some people want to follow it, great. Maybe we can get more and more people. But
I know people have tried to
it's hard.
put something like that together a couple times. I think people feel like there's a lot of like sometimes it's hard to sift through the resources.
Right.
To a certain extent, I get it.
Yeah.
But what I am here to tell you is and I tell parents in middle school the same thing. There is no magic bullet. I mean, every kid is different. Some kids are more mature and can handle this stuff a little bit better. Other kids, obviously not. So.
I was going to, first of all, thank you so much.
Sure. Happy to do it.
I was wondering if it is possible, because Amy did the last talk on Tech Talk and she showed a lot of filters. But I have to be honest, I'm basic with the computer, so I do the thing. Can we like put on like some guidelines, just simple things like YouTube, where to click, what to do, and I read that guidelines, I go home and this is YouTube, okay, I'll do this.
Here's what your kid does. They go on Google or YouTube and they search, how do I put YouTube restrictions on? And you'll find literally a million videos how to do that. That's what the kids do. They just search stuff, you know? And that oftentimes that's the answer I'll give you. Search it.
So
You
how
know?
to
and then make a question.
filter YouTube.
Right.
But we can put some basic ones on, can't we, Amy?
Yeah, I can pull a playlist of just different resources.
But it's
and
not
just-
only YouTube, maybe I'm
You know, I understand,
some main that I'm not into it, some main,
But I will tell you the best filter
YouTube.
That's right.
is you, as the parent. And I'm guilty of that. And I was telling Conrad that I was sitting next to my daughter on the couch, and thank goodness I was sitting there because she went to use the voice activation for searching. She was in kindergarten, and instead of saying Black Hawk, she said Hawks. Well, she didn't say Hawks. She said it came out as hot videos. And so it's Siri is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my
You
God!
don't know
What's
what
going
to
to
say
come up? That's where, yeah, sure, I have the filters. I have things turned on, but I still is not going to catch that kind of stuff. So the best filter is you.
No question.
And being in that open environment and having that dialogue and conversation with your kids is really important.
Does autocorrect, can you do anything to eliminate explicit language in autocorrect?
So if you're on an
Especially for
iPad,
younger kids, they will use that voice activation.
Yeah. and things
And
do get
things-
twisted,
Will come up,
right?
Yeah,
and
everything is
for
an adult.
suggestions,
You're
and you're like,
Well, in your app setting, there's a way to turn it so that the apps are only coming through for a certain age group. So
okay.
the iPad will start to recognize, what age you are, but no, I mean, they're built for the world. They're not built for kids. So, and that's the
Well, and I think to Zahara's point is that when you don't know, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So I think what I hear her saying is like, give me some tips on what are some like important, really practical things to do right now.
Here,
because-
you can always ask your child too. I mean, look at her. She probably knows as much as any of us in the room. I'm not kidding. So ask your child. Not only do you learn, I think parents learn a ton from what I'm teaching their children, but you can also learn a lot from your child as well. And hopefully you have that good open communication. And if it starts early, it can continue on through middle school and into high school.
And just one more thing.
Of course, yeah.
Regarding the phone.
Yeah.
And I'm completely against, and I'm being also pressured.
Well,
by
but here's the thing: your child, once they go to 5th grade, it's going to be like a Chinese water torture
That's
drill.
what-
Okay,
because
drip.
Exactly.
drip.
Mine is on 4th grade and is coming, and I have already friends in 5th grade said I was not going to give, but this is too much. Do you recommend not giving like an iPhone, just like a simple phone that they only can?
I think it's a very valid point that I could make as a law enforcement officer. You've all seen the headlines involved in iPhones. If you want me to be able to assist you, iPhone is not the phone to give your child.
Okay.
Not to mention, there are better monitoring services for Android-based phones. If you as a parent really want to get involved and set up a monitoring service, those Android-based platforms have been around a little longer. Now the Mac monitoring platforms, a little newer, they're starting to get a little bit better. But if you give them, say, a Samsung instead of an iPhone, it's easier for me to investigate it or to help you. I think it'd be easier for you to sort of navigate and set monitors on your child. At least that's been my experience. Because if they change or refuse to give you the password for their iPhone, the FBI can't get into it.
The other question.
I mean, not to give away too many law enforcement secrets, but if the kid tomorrow, I'm going to talk to this kid later on today. If he doesn't give me his passcode, then the only thing I can do is he never sees his phone again, probably. That's it. I mean, it's locked, and if I try to do it too many times, the phone wipes itself. I mean, That's the reality we as law enforcement face. I'm not going to get political. That's just the reality. So whatever it is you believe, privacy or not, that's the reality. Sorry.
So the other sort of related question, would it make sense then just to give them like an old-fashioned flip phone that doesn't have the...
I don't know how many of those still exist, but yeah, sure. I mean, I think you could go to the store and they could help you purchase the phone that's right for your family, your child. I would just, I don't have a lot of monitoring experience in terms of the parent monitoring stuff, but I have heard that the Android stuff is a little easier. It's a little more effective.
Okay, thank you.
Get for what it's worth. So I'll turn the floor over to Amy. I'll be here later if you want to ask questions. Yeah.
And I think the other piece of it too is that as our kids are getting the phones in middle school, let them create the contract. Let them build. Why do you need this phone? What are you going to do with it? How are you going to take this and go forward with it? And so when they misuse it, guess who made those rules? They did, not you. So sitting together and talking to them about what it is that they have the purpose of using this phone for. And then the other piece of it too, which we talked about at the middle school, was you are the one who bought that phone, so you have the password of what goes on that phone. So when they want to try to download an app, they can't. They have to bring it to you, and you have to put in that password to get that app on that phone. Because you still have that control piece of it.
So they can't download Snapchat on their phone.
Right.
My kid is so smart though, he changed his Apple ID, he got off of our Apple ID and put his own Apple ID. I didn't even know he did it.
Then
In seventh grade.
the
So,
phone is taken away.
Yeah, it was.
And that contract that was created
Right.
talks about how we do this. This is a joint device that I've paid for it. And as a family, my babysitter who lives up the street, when she was getting her driver's license, her mom and dad said that to her. They said, you know what, you're gonna create how you should be driving this car, when you should be driving this car, who's gonna be in this car. They had her sign it, they signed it, they put it in her glove box. And I thought, how smart is that? For just getting your permit, your driver's license, why aren't we doing that with cell phone devices? Which is cheap.
Because it's a privilege.
Yeah.
So if they can respect the agreement, they continue to have that privilege. If not, that was the same language I used with my children and driving the car. Exactly.
And it's a level of respect too that comes between you and your child. And so, when Mr. Conrad is talking about building that communication with your kids now, let them know that it's okay. You might make a mistake. You might end up on a video that's inappropriate, but come and show it to me. So do that 2-second rule. And I know Susie talks about that in class with them. If something comes up that you feel uncomfortable with, you close it and you bring it over to an adult so that we can help you learn from that. Versus being like, oh gosh, I did something I wasn't supposed to do, and then they get down that rabbit hole of like, uh-oh, now this is what I'm kind of interested, like, what's going on here? So, and we know that these kids were definitely in a different world than when we were in school, and that's why I use this opening slide of Welcome to the Future. I just finished a week-long conference with technology, with educators. So it's the biggest conference for the state of Illinois. It's called ICE, so Illinois Computing Educators. 4,000 teachers come over the week to St. Charles. The point is, it's here to stay. It's not going away. And the cap is off. We have to embrace it, and we have to move forward with it. So Susie, can you hit play? The link is right there on the bottom. And actually, I have a window open if it doesn't. This is just a short little clip that I want to share with you that was.
Are you?
So I just shared it with you because that was actually shown at the White House. And we actually had the privilege of Ben Gray, who was in District 59. He was the one who created that video. And he, 59 is Mount Prospect, Elk Grove, so I think it was like Elk Grove, Mount Prospect. But the point is that we have to embrace it. And so because we're embracing it, the government is even part of this now. And they've got this whole future ready plan that they're working on. And it just came out actually last week. And one of the reps from the U.S. Department of Ed was at this conference. And he was talking about what are the skills that are needed. Because we can't be fearful of technology. We can't put this whole piece of, oh no, our kids are going to be doing bad things on technology. We're not giving it to them. We're not letting technology come into schools. It's here. We're there. So we now have to use those skills to get them ready. And when we think about school, we want it to be an area that's innovating and growing. And it's different from when we were in school. We used to bring home that take-home folder, and our parents would open it up, and all the papers were in there, and you could sit and you could talk to your kid about or our parents would talk to us about what was happening in school. Now with everything kind of going digital and things being in Google Drive and us not knowing how or what's going on, it's having that relationship with your kids to sit down and talk to them and value them. And we don't want it to be a static environment. We want kids excited to go to school. But if we don't understand what's happening and we're not talking to them about it, they might have that sense of, well, I don't know what to say to my parents. So having that conversation, getting them excited about going to school. The other piece that I want to share is that there are certain skills that we can work on through technology that are timeless skills. It's not just about technology. It's just about being a student in our world. And so I'm going to kind of hit on some of these basic skills that incorporate the technology, but they also don't focus just on technology. Controlling your own learning. So we have gone with this whole 21st century learning piece of, are we having kids collaborate, communicate, think critically, be connected, and looking at those pieces. Part of it is letting them use the resources to control what are they interested in. How are students taking their passions and growing them? And actually, you'll notice that all of my pictures today are pictures of kids here at Everett. So they're all, except for that last one, those are my own children. But this and that, I love that previous picture here because these are my kids going to school in the morning. I mean, isn't that what we want? We want our kids excited to go to school. We want them to be engaged in what they do. So here we've got actually a tablet trial going on with our one kindergarten class and one first grade class. And part of it, the tablet trial came out to say, hey, is this going to change the way that kids learn in the primary grade with allowing for differentiation and allowing them to learn and explore in a way where they own their own learning? So when they open up Epic, which is an app that I encourage you to put on your home devices, this allows a digital resource of differentiation for their reading level. So instead of just having the books that are in the classroom that they have to pick from, now they have an entire bookshelf of all kinds of books that are at their level. And it's called Epic. Epic believes in education, so they give a free account for teachers, and then the teachers load in their students and they can personalize their books. But letting them control what their interest levels are. Also letting them learn from their new skills. So we just hosted the SIT conference here in the district 2 weeks ago on the Saturday. And this was an opportunity on a Saturday to let kids come and be connected with other kids all over the North Shore. We had 63 schools that were represented. And instead of saying, oh, I don't understand what my kids are interested in, we're just not going to partake in this, let them grow those skills and let them be connected with like-minded people. Back in the day, it was like, oh, if you were a sports kid, that was what you did. And if you were interested in tech, you were kind of a geeky kid. But that's not the case anymore. Now we've got really well-rounded kids that are interested in coding and doing Minecraft and partaking in Raspberry Pi and electric circuits, which Susie, does a lot within her class time with the kids. So let them grow those passions and interests. Be connected with them. To ask them, because we don't know as parents sometimes. We don't get it, but they do. Let them give their best effort in what they're trying. And I think that's a key piece. Statistically, they show that the jobs that our children will have, we don't even know what they are yet, and they're non-existent. And they say that 10 statistics show in the labor Bureau of Labor that there will be 10 jobs that our children will have, and they will be in a job for an average of 4.4 years. Well, that's not the case for us. You know, you go to a company like Abbott or Hewitt or Baxter or Grainger, and you're there. You're there for 15 plus years. That's not the case anymore because all the evolving innovation that's happening in companies, they're hopping from jobs and they want that. When you come and you interview, that's what they're looking for. Are you a well-rounded person that's had a lot of exposure? So in our kids in class, are we giving them exposure? And are we encouraging them to try new things and pushing them kind of out of their comfort zone a little bit? And my role here in this district is just that, is helping the teachers to push them out of their comfort zone, to do things, to help model for their kids. So a teacher might come to me and say, here's something I've always done. This is what we've always had for the past 10 years. And I look at it and I say, why? Why do kids need to learn this? Just because you've had it for 10 years, is it something that's going to help them for their future? So are we teaching kids for their future, or are we teaching them for our past? And knowing that they're going to continually be growing into the future with jobs that aren't created yet, we have to model that here in our school. Now, with all the technology, we know that we have to give them the opportunity to communicate because it's so easy to send a text message. And it's so easy to post a quick, simple sentence through Facebook. But those are the skills that are surface level communication skills. So we need to give kids the opportunity in school to know how to communicate at a deeper level. So that when they are in the workforce and they're getting ready to share, they might have a great idea. But if they can't articulate that to their boss, or they can't articulate that to the company, that's not going to go forward, and that's not somebody that they're going to want to keep. So we can work here in the education system, K through 12, even higher ed, to start giving them the skills that it takes to communicate. If it's through Google products, and we're using it as a collaborative tool, showing them how to comment, going deeper within their writing samples. If it's just working together in partnerships in the classroom versus every kid being on their device. Why? Why does every kid have to just be on their own device? Why can't they buddy up and do it more of in a collaborative style? And so all these skills that I'm sharing with you are enhanced because of technology, but like I said, it's timeless skills. These were things that we did as a kid and will continue to see as we move forward with our own children. Letting them be creative. Are we allowing kids to be the ones to own their learning in a creative way, or is it the teacher standing in front of the classroom being the sage on stage? And I'll hear parents sometimes say to me, well, hold on, are you telling me that my kid is just sitting behind a device and now we don't need teachers? No, that's not what I'm saying. We don't. We still need teachers to be working in small group settings with the kids and really redefining with their creative ability, what are you doing and how are you doing it and why are you doing it, and using that whole like golden circle of the how, the what, and the whys based off of their creative abilities. Getting them connected. So we just finished, a unit in second grade with studying Lake Forest and bringing in the experts. I mean, we were fortunate that we were able to bring in the experts from Lake Forest, but if we weren't able to, can we connect with them globally? Through Skype, through FaceTime, through Google Hangouts. Even today's presentation, taking this presentation and being able to post it online so that the parents who are at work who can't be here or another commitment, we have these resources available to us. So why aren't we using them and leveraging them for the best of all of our interests? And letting our kids see that if they have a dream job or if they have an area of interest, how can we help grow that and foster that so that they're being creative and they're connected globally and all the good things that come with interest level. Another one here is just being able to let them create. So a lot of times your kids might come home and talk about creating a PSA, because what we're saying to the kids is, what's the importance of knowing this information? Just yesterday, Dr. Sapko and Mrs. Booker sat with a third grade group of students. We're trying to convince them that we shouldn't have homework. But that's letting them take a unit of study, which I think was fact and opinion, or was it argumentative writing, maybe?
Persuasive writing.
Persuasive writing. And time to something
I have to get back to them on that. I'm doing my arguments. They had some very good points there. They really did. Might be a homework passer too.
I know Mrs. Booker had a really good conversation with them. And I was in the room but that's the piece of letting them share what they're interested in and bringing it into the world of how can I, like you had just mentioned, like, should we put together a parent group? It's something that you value, so what can we do to take that and carry it forward? So the kids will do PSAs or they'll, pull in people to share their message with. And then just letting kids, like I talked about earlier, discover their passions. What are they interested in at home and at school, and helping to grow those things. I know we're in this world of Minecraft right now, and kids are, constantly coming home and wanting to be in Minecraft. And parents are like, stop, no, too much Minecraft. But it's an area that they're passionate about. So it's taking it and putting, like you were saying, a time limit on it. And if you are in Minecraft, what are you doing? Are you going in and destroying your brothers and sisters' worlds and people you're playing with? Or shooting zombies? Or are you building things to display Soldier Field and, the United Center and Field Museum? And are you building architectural structures that you're learning about in school? So taking those talents and things that they're interested in, their passions, and tapping them for the good and bringing that positive message to it. So we know that our kids are definitely, in a place where they have to think and they have to use this time to grow for who they are. But as parents, we have to embrace it. We have to allow them to take those skills and grow them. And they are going to fail, and they are going to make mistakes. But this is their time to make those mistakes, not when they're an adult and it's their marriage they've now ruined because of inappropriate use of technology, or they've lost a job because they're not able to communicate or be creative in their thinking. So our role here, Susie, myself, and Angela, and all the teachers, is just to really give them that good, strong foundation. And we're fortunate that we have the technology, and we try to incorporate those skills that are needed, that are lifetime skills, to kind of carry forward. So that's all I have for you guys. But any questions or thoughts or anything you need as a parent?
How do you set up filters on your Wi-Fi at home? Is that another thing we just talked to?
So what I would do is, if you have Comcast or you have AT&T, they actually, on your bill, just look at the bottom where it says service, and you can call them, and they'll walk you through. You actually have to log in to your account, your filter. A lot of people don't know what their usernames and passwords are, so calling them, they'll help you set that up. And then you go in actually from your computer and you set those filters up.
It's by computer?
No, it's on your whole network. Yeah, but you would need to know your username and password, and it's not that you're setting the filter up on your computer. You're setting it up on your home network, but your computer is used to log into your home network to set those levels up. And there is usually a password that you'll have to access to get in. So calling them, they'll be able to help you with that piece.
Is it worthwhile? Like, is it?
Yeah.
It's worthwhile.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't interfere with you trying to do stuff that.
Yeah.
Depends on how you want to do
it. So they have no, they have high. So, but it will, there was one parent that we had a situation with my first year as a tech coach, and we brought the parent in and we said, listen, your daughter has a problem. There is a problem that your daughter has, and either you need to seek outside support, or we can tell you that something that can help, a quick remedy, is putting a filter on. And mom said, no, I refuse to do that. I'm like, well, then nice having this meeting with you. Goodbye. What was I supposed to say at that point? But that was mom, trying to say, I don't know if I feel comfortable with what I need to do. Well, then at that point, there's only something you can do. So putting a filter on through your network provider, there's different levels that you can put it at. So like in our house, I have not had any problems, and we're at a medium. So, because if you go to high, you're right. There's certain things that aren't going to come through. If you're watching YouTube videos of your favorite country singer, and there's inappropriate language, and they're going to be exposed to it. Even on TV. Sometimes you squirm as a parent with those commercials that come up, and you're like, okay, we're not going to talk about this right now. Right? As long as I can keep them as naive as I can.
It's the music.
Yeah.
Music. Just out of my mind.
Yeah.
When you hear the words that come out of it.
Yeah. But then My
Yeah.
first grader and third graders in the back of the car, they start singing the lyrics and they're singing the wrong lyrics. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
they don't know what that is.
I have another question too. So I've heard people sort of have, rules at home about no phones upstairs, no phones, no computers upstairs. I don't know. There's different, rules people have, but we haven't figured that out yet. So what do you recommend?
So our devices are not allowed upstairs ever. And even with Epic Book being an app where they can read, and at night, you want to go upstairs with your iPad or your tablet and read upstairs. Nope. If you want to do that, it's downstairs. When you're upstairs, it's a good old paper book that's on your bookshelf.
So there's no laptops, no phones, no technology upstairs.
Well, my phone is my alarm clock. So as an adult, but I have that part of the brain that's developed. I can manage that.
Right.
Our elementary kids and our middle school kids don't have that part of their brain developed yet. So keep them downstairs.
The one thing I didn't really speak to, she was talking about devices in your child's bedroom. I'm not concerned about all kids getting themselves in trouble. What I am concerned about oftentimes is the mental health of your child and them getting bullied or having that technology affect them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's how it's different. In terms of the cyberbullying aspect, if they have that device until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, they're not going to get good sleep if they're getting harassed and bullied online. And that comes up more often than some of these other inappropriate type stuff. So that's what I will say. I think.
Or just the text. I've got a
Correct.
teenage niece.
Correct.
Like 30 texts
Correct.
an hour. I mean, it's nonstop.
Correct. So they need that. The limit should also be the break at night. 8 o'clock, 8:30 for a middle school kid. Have the phone charging in the kitchen. It gives you an opportunity to be a detective as well. So I'm concerned more about their mental health than I am them getting in trouble or using it inappropriately. So.
Well, I echo that because I think a lot of the research says at least 2 hours before bedtime, no devices.
Great.
It's the blue light in all of our devices that don't give us good REM sleep. And so we want to make sure that they are ready for school when they come in the morning and not so tired from doing whatever they were doing right before. So yeah, that's a great tip. So I'm Susie O, and I'm the informational literacy instructor at Everett, which means I work with all of your students, kindergarten through fourth grade. I push in and do a lot of tech integration and explicitly teach digital literacy skills to them. So a lot of it is taught, some of it is embedded within their curriculum. So we do go over a lot of digital literacy skills. One of the things I thought might be an important topic to talk about is creating accounts at home. Because this is a question or something that comes up from students all the time. And we have accounts here at school, but what can we do at home? Or we have these accounts at home, and does that transfer over to school, vice versa? So I put this picture up to show that we really do live in a high-speed world. We have high-speed internet. It's almost so fast-paced. We can connect to so many things. So I think a lot of the questions we get is, well, what should I be going on? What account should I have? Am I behind? Should I be on this account? If you've seen the hashtag, what is it? Fear of missing out FOMO, right? So they say that's a legitimate fear that we want to make sure we're in. We know what's going on, and that's true. But I think sometimes we need to have the balance of what's good, what's appropriate at this age, at this time. So I know I've shared this before, but Everett has a Symbolu site where we put websites that we use all the time here at school, and this is a good start where we should look at this and say, hey, like we mentioned Epic. Epic is right here. So this is something that we can click on and use at home. So if a class already doesn't have that Epic account, certainly that's something that we want to create and try at home.
So if we're at home and our kid is connecting to something through this, are they automatically filtered through the Everett filter world?
No, because this is a website. So, but what we've done is we filtered it personally and put up good stuff. So, but they can spin it to something else for sure. Okay. Off of this.
And if they have student accounts here at school, if we click through this page, they can use their existing school account. We don't have.
And I say that's the side point I want to mention is go through this site.
Okay,
because
I literally just downloaded
Right.
Epic, and I'm like, oh, $4.99 a month. And I'm like, but if they got accounts at school, how can we capitalize on that?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So you want to go through this site because a lot of it is linked through our school accounts. So for example, Compass Learning. Sure, you could Google Compass Learning and get to that site, but that won't be the exact link that we have for your child. So this is the site I would say start here and then go through that. All right, so online accounts. So I think the first thing we need to talk about is the purpose of why we want that. And I think that's, well, and then so when you think about creating accounts, what's the first question that you have?
Is it okay?
Is it okay?
Is it safe?
Is it safe?
Why do you need this account? What's the purpose?
Right. So probably some of the questions I would go, well, what should I do? The what seems to be the question that comes up first. But like Amy knows, it's really the why, right? And this is the golden circle that she had referred to earlier. So the question we should be asking is the purpose. Why are we creating this account at home? Is it to help our students and support them with supplemental things that they might need? Is it, something extra that my child would want to do? Or again, is it just because their peers have it? Are we just trying to keep up? What's the reason of creating this account? And I think we need to have purpose and have that conversation with our children at home and talk about why this is something that we would want to take time to create and use. Now, kids come up with this question a lot. They always are asking, well, why? And especially the but why, right? is a question that we get a lot. And we want them to question. And I think but sometimes when we're doing this, they just say, I want it. They're not questioning, well, why should I have it? And giving a reason as to why they should be on this account. So, but I think it really starts with the why, and that's the conversation starter that we need to have with our students in creating. I think a good reason to create an account at home is to have a good, positive digital presence.
Susie, when you're saying account, are you talking about an app or like, what do you mean by account? Like a Minecraft account?
It could be a Minecraft. I'm talking more like email. A lot of students will tell me, I have my own email account. I have my own social media. I know students who have their own YouTube channel accounts. And I'll get to that at the very end with the do's and the don'ts, but if we look at the terms of agreement, we actually know that the students aren't old enough. They have to be, many of them, 13 years or older, but they already have accounts at elementary school. And so again, what I would say is if it's a family account that you do together as a family, that's something that you want to create and have, by all means, that's something that you can do together, and that's a teachable moment and a great way to teach them. But if they're doing it on their own, it's where I would say that's something that we need to look at and think about, why are they having their own account, and not a family account. So the question is, what kind of online presence do you have? And what kind of online presence do we want in the future? Have you ever tried Googling yourself? Have you ever tried Googling your child to see what information is up there? Whether we like it or not, or whether we want it or not, we do have a digital presence online. And we need to be the ones who are in control of that. We live in a very connected world, and students want to connect. They crave being able to share and collaborate and to show us. For example, a lot of our kindergarten first graders, when they're using Wixie with me, will say, I can't wait to show my mom and dad at home what I've created. And so they are so excited to share with you at home what they've done at school, but even things that they do even at home. They'll go on Wixie on their own at home and create more things and say, Mom, Dad, here's what I've done. Here's what I can create and design. And it's exciting. So we leave this digital footprint wherever we go. Every time we post a picture and we upload it, we're in it. Our children are in it, right? So their picture, their information is there. And every time you go, we're leaving a little footprint about us. And so I found this online, and I think this is a pretty good guideline of why it's important. Right? It says it's all about our reputation and our image. Things that people see and read about us can affect us. in the future for employment, admission to schools, university, or groups, relationships. So it can have a very lasting impact. And unfortunately, it's not like we can scrub or erase what we've written and put up there. Once it's there, it's there. And so we need to make sure that we are thinking twice. And I always say to the kids, think thrice about that before you post a comment or write something or put something up, because that says something about you and who you are. So again, I found this quote that says, in the future, your digital footprint will carry far more weight than anything you might include on a resume. So again, I think food for thought for us to think about, what are we really helping our kids to do for their future?
I just had a real world example of that at my company where we found the perfect candidate to hire. And the last thing we did was a social media search.
Yes.
And it was a huge red flag, and we revoked the job offer.
Yes. And I've heard so many stories like that. Yep. Everything looks great on paper, and they're such a great person. You think they're a great catch for this company, and then you get to that part. It's unfortunate, but yeah, it just does tell us the reality of the digital world that we do live in. And again, it's something that sometimes we may put up, but it could be something that other people put up of us and our kids. So again, we do need to be careful. Are you sure you want to take that picture and let them take that picture of you? Because what will they do with that? So it is hard, but we need to be the ones in control of that. And I think we need to start now and setting that strong, positive foundation. If we can do that now at the elementary level, little by little, and build it up so that by the time they get to middle school and high school, that they have a strong, positive digital presence. Now, I think I've heard this said earlier, kids are kids and they may make mistakes. They may do something that is, oops. But you know what? If they have this mounting positive digital image of themselves and what other people have said already, I don't know if that one little oops or blurb is going to make a huge impact on them, because they've already built themselves up and have a strong positive foundation. So I think that's what we want to work on, is building that strong positive online presence. So some guidelines for do's and don'ts. I'll start with the don'ts first. I would actually say we don't want to assume that our kids know it all when it comes to technology. I've heard it said many times that you may have heard the term that students are digital natives when it comes to technology. I would say that they are born into a world where they are filled with digital devices, and they have so much access. However, as a teacher who teaches them digital literacy skills, I can say that they do need guidelines, they do need help, and they need the rules. They have questions that they don't know what to do. I invite you to come into my kindergarten first year class and see. When I introduce something new, it's like being a White House press secretary. The hands go up and everyone has a question. And so by the time I'm getting through all the questions, we only have 10 minutes left. The other thing I see is the tug and pull, right? So because they need help, they're all gathered around me and saying, I need help. And so they do. We can't assume that, here you go, here's your iPad device, go with it. Because they do need to be taught, and they do need directions. And if you are going to create an account, and these are things that I do share with the kids too, think about your usernames and your passwords. A lot of usernames, I know people will use their name and add their birthday to make it easier. But again, a birthday is a private information that should not be shared. Think about all the questions For the do's, I would say again, I'm reiterating what's already been said, but have those conversations. I think that's where we really do need to take time to have good conversations with our children about why and what are we going to do with this and how will we use this account. And again, monitor. We have to check again. Instead of leaving them to themselves and saying, here, go on the site and do what you want. I think we need to be together and that this needs to be a team effort, a family effort in fact. And so I like what we said, that the devices that we have should be in public places for that reason. In your living room or, somewhere where the family comes together and can gather and see that's transparent and is open. And like I said, when we are creating those accounts, let's look at the terms of agreement. Are they really old enough? Should they really be on this account? I really hope that the things that they are learning here at school transfer over to home, and that is my hope, that they're remembering those guidelines and rules that they're taught here. And so I hope that that message gets crossed over so that when they're at home, they're remembering the same things that they've learned here at school. And again, like I said, if we want to build a good, positive digital presence online, start good online habits now. I think that's where we need to start. Just having good habits of going online. And I think a lot of those things, I teach them is the same thing as in real life. So when we're going on a website, it's like going on a virtual field trip for them, right? But same rules apply. We stay on the site, we don't wander, we ask an adult, make sure we're safe. So same thing applies when we're online. So my hope is that our children, right now they're learning to really get information, to research. How do I find this? They're consumers of information, but then eventually that they'll be the contributors, that they're the ones creating ideas, that they're the ones making a difference online. Any questions or that I guess now all of us can answer?
Just back to what Susie was saying about, them being here and learning these skills. This is the walled garden. So how many of you are a part of a seesaw class? Is anybody a recipient?
Yeah, there you go.
Good. So I really sat down with our first grade team and I said, you know what, let's start this. And so for the parents that aren't part of it, this is a way for your kids to be sharing out what's happening in class. So they're sending home pictures, videos, stories of things that they're doing. And then the parent gets an alert on their app that says, hey, your child has made this post. And then parents can reply back to their children. And we have one kindergarten class that's getting ready to launch it soon. But that's our way to teach just what Susie's talking about, what we've been sharing today, is how to put out the good stuff. Not just random silly things that we see coming through YouTube where kids are going up in their bedrooms and making crazy videos that mean nothing to our world. Or even when they get over to the middle school, we use Edmodo. And the reason for Edmodo is that digital platform is very much like a Facebook, but it's a walled garden. And the only people that can be in this environment are the teachers and the classmates. Now, I see things that go out that are inappropriate, and I reply to those children and I say, using good digital citizenship skills is using your correct name. These are things they've been learning since elementary school, but it's the continual reinforcement of how can we help them to make these good choices.
And with Seesaw, the teacher controls
what goes
the
out.
Student selects what they'd like to share with the parent, and then the teacher either gives the okay or doesn't.
Yeah.
And we have a parent who wants.
Yeah, I think that it's really good because when my daughter, when my first grader comes home, I've already seen what there's like a video of her reading her book that she wrote. So she comes home and I'm like, oh my goodness, that was so good, that story you wrote about Susie going to school. And then I'm like, oh, can I see it? So like, even though it's all digital, it kind of goes back to like basic skills then too. So it's kind of cool because then I have a platform to start like talking about what she did today. And, oh, I saw that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So
communication. It opens up the door.
It opens up the door, not just like digital, but then like.
It also increases the excitement level, I think.
Yes.
I mean, I'm finding my child is excited about things and telling me about things that never used to come up before. So it's taking like what their fascination is with technology and channeling it. It's like it's like basically Facebook for first graders, academic, like school-age first graders. It's so cute, but you can love it. And instead of liking it, love it.
That's awesome. No, we're excited about that because I just really see that piece of using these skills that they need to share out for the positive, good use of technology. And hopefully we're gonna bring it into more classrooms. We just want to start small, make sure that we were good to go. So we start with first grade, and now we're gonna have them present in March to the rest of the building and maybe move it forward into some other grades.
Because Officer Christensen, do you speak to the elementary kids ever?
We haven't really opened that door yet. We were in some basic discussion the other day.
It would be so
But
great.
I mean, I'm always open to any ideas.
I love that you have your badge. I want you to stare at your
I mean, that isn't always effective. That isn't always effective. It's scary. I do come in for like I think it's a citizenship unit.
Yeah.
And I talked to the entire second grade about being, we kind of go into being a good citizen in the community, and then different levels of government, working from the federal to the state to the local, and we talk about some different things.
I just think it's beneficial because a lot of kids are getting their phones in 5th grade, coming in at that 4th grade before they even get them. It's just sort of like a good,
They really do a good job, I think, of reinforcing the message.
Okay.
Really, really, really well.
Great.
So,
I love that you're doing it. I think it's
but they need to keep hearing it, and they need to keep hearing it from different people. Same message.
Can I ask you how
Well, we have a high school SRO. I don't really talk at the high school at all. I don't teach at the high school at all. He does a little teaching, but yeah, I don't think he does anything formally in terms of social media, internet safety. I mean, obviously they get it in their education, but just not from the police department. So most of the law enforcement driven education is middle school age. So that's 5th through 8th grade. And it works perfect for this community, like we said, because the natural transition, the more, I talk to the students about this. You come to 5th grade, we have a presentation in 5th, we have 8 presentations in 5th grade. One of which we talk about, okay, Market Square, you're walking up to Market Square, what's appropriate? What are I tell them the complaints I get, and then we address them, So we talk about the natural transition, giving more freedom, and I just did my last leaders class, we call it leaders, and our technology stuff is called Safety Net. I did my last Safety Net presentation to the 5th grade yesterday. So they've all now gone through it, through their health plans, and heard it from not only me, but other police officers. We have 3 other police officers who teach the 5th grade program. So I think it's always good for them to meet other guys and gals that work for our department as well. They like it. So.
Can I just repeat what he just said? And I think that's such an important message that I want to get across is that they need to hear it again and again from different people. So not just from me, not just from the classroom teacher, but really from home. And, it needs to be the same consistent message all across. Year after year, I give the same talk about even like signing their acceptable usage agreement at the beginning of every year. And every year they look at me like, oh, we're signing this, and it's something that we've done. But again, how quickly they forget, right? So I think it warrants repeating again and again, and from different people as well.
And then she's talking about the acceptable use policy. We actually, you may have seen it come home and you're like, well, I don't remember it coming home. But it just says, how are we going to use technology respectfully, responsibly, safely? And when we have a student who's done something inappropriately, we go back to that and we pull that out. We're like, you signed off on this, remember. And that's our way to really kind of give the Bible of what we want to see as our use of technology.
Do we understand what they're signing?
We do a formal lesson.
I go over it with them. And I go over each line. I say, we are agreeing to this, this, and this. If you want to be able to use your devices here at school, this is what you need to agree to. If not, then that's okay, but you won't be using this Chromebook.
And that same guideline is used from kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade. We just make it a little bit more mature by the time you get to 5th grade, but it's the same skills, the same language, just a little bit more depth to it. So we've created something that's across the whole district, universal.
Can you comment at all on
Minecraft, love it. But when they're in the internet playing Minecraft and you see these chats going across the screen, I'm assuming that's like the danger zone, right?
Yeah.
Or should I be
Oftentimes.
scared about that, or is that kind of just the way it is?
I haven't let my third grader go on the internet yet. He's just on the app, on the tablet, because I'm, as a parent, just not ready to go there yet. Yet all the neighborhood kids are doing it, and he goes into their houses and watches them do it. And it was happening at the tech conference that we hosted, and we've got 500 kids, and they're all. There's a time and there's a place, and if you feel your kid is ready for that, go for it. But have those conversations with them and say, you know what? Sometimes there's adults that are in this world playing Minecraft. I happen to know one that lives up the street from me. I mean, he sits and plays with his son. But what kind of language are they going to be exposed to? And what's the topic? So just have those conversations with them.
Yes.
In terms of male predators, people who are looking for males, that's where they go is the gaming. When they're concentrating on females and social media. But if your child is playing games and connecting online that way, that's where the male predators are typically operating. So you really want to get scary. But in terms of the cyberbullying, the comments are always where the cyberbullying starts. I just had a parent send me some stuff from regarding Minecraft. It was a YouTube video that the student uploaded of whatever he did on Minecraft. Other students were bullying him in the comment section. So, like adults, we read some of the comments online. I mean, it's no different with kids. Adults bully and kids bully. You typically use the same forum. So, yeah.
But know that when we do use Minecraft in school, which we do at the middle school, this is the EDU version. So we're not connected to the public world. We're using a server in our school. And even here at the elementary school, we have the app that we're using. They can only connect with who's here on our Wi-Fi. So I want to preference that.
Okay, so in the house, if I'm on Xbox Live or something, can I create a private website where Miguel could invite his friend in another state, his friend 2 streets down, and they could play 3 people together?
I think you have to be on the same. I'm not 100% sure, but I think you have to be on the same network in order for it to be
like the same Wi-Fi network.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Justin used to.
But do other people?
But
I didn't jump in.
You need a 12-year-old.
Yeah, that's what it is. But he can have other people jump in.
Yeah. No, but you can keep it private, right?
Yes, you can close the group.
They close the group once the
his
people
friends
come in.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I know.
That would be a little safe.
12-year-olds, you call
Yeah.
that part to teach them.
On the yeah,
Group is great.
on the
This is the kid
Minecraft
that
thing.
changed the Apple ID.
Yes.
on
And he says that he can close the Xbox Live.
He always jokes, he's like, oh, I'm playing with somebody from Taipei right now. I'm like, that's not funny. Then I get on, I'm like, it's just my man. So it's like,
Oh.
But on the Minecraft thing, he was playing online, and I saw, he was probably 4th grade. And he was playing right when it came out, and I saw some of the language going on. I'm like, who are these people talking? And he's like, I don't know. So we shut it down and said, you cannot play online. So he actually created his own server.
Yep, there you go.
I don't know how he did it, and then he could play he gave out a server to a couple of his friends. So they could all play online together, but you had to have the username.
You had to be
and
invited.
password. I don't know how he did it, but
That's what they're doing. They're figuring all this stuff out. And you know where they're figuring out? On YouTube.
on YouTube, that's what he did.
They go to
Yeah.
YouTube and they search how to create a Minecraft server. How to, like that.
It killed my computer, but like have our
You have to buy a data plan?
right.
But yet that's the kind of kid that's going to be invited into a corporate world because that's what they need. They need that creation. They need those skills, those problem-solving skills. So if we say to him, don't do it, we're in a way not helping him for his future. So you want to tap those resources that he's talented with because he'll end up beating somebody else out for a job for a company that needs somebody to be coding a server.
I can't keep up. It's hard to keep up with that. I don't know what. Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't even matter the website. My daughter was looking on Toys R Us for what she wanted for Christmas, and I came and I walked into the room and she was like, oh, giggling. And she's like, Bob says I'm so smart. I'm like, who's Bob? And why are you doing Toys R Us? And it was like the customer service rep. She had asked a question.
Live
chat. She was like laughing about how Bob and her were having this like funny conversation.
Yeah.
Wow. Deplete them from their excitement. You know.
It's finding that fine balance. It really is.
It really
That's the piece of, but those go back to character traits. Let's face it. All the things that we're talking about today boil back down to what kind of character traits are we installing in our kids? Because they are our future, and we have to embrace the fact that they're leading our world. So as long as we can teach them respect, responsibility, safety, all those key things that our parents taught to us, we'll be okay. It'll be fine. So.
You take a picture, just capturing our little group here.
Okay, we're leaving a positive visual. We're trying this one, right?
You should be answering.
Real quick before you guys leave, I know some questions here about YouTube, so let me answer that. Just the idea of putting on filters.
I never watched them there every day.
With that, my first grader was at a play date of another first grader.
Oh, Derek, you're going to talk about
That-
I'm sorry. please.
No, go.
Oh, and I went to pick her up, and the mom said, "Oh, I wanted to let you know they were watching like a PBS video on YouTube, and then they came and brought it to me because they told me these are first graders use the word something inappropriate came up, and it was Justin Bieber going to kiss a girl."
Oh.
And so they brought it to the mom, and the mom then told me, "Oh, I wanted to let you know in case she said something."
Good.
Yeah. So they were in
That's
this
good.
PBS YouTube watching the video that the mom had set up, but the other things were on the side, and then they said this is inappropriate.
Great. And that's
Yeah.
what we want. We want them to be
Right.
thinking as they're watching, right? We don't want them just to be that consumers again, just to get information and say, okay, I watched this, I'm doing this. But are they thinking about, is this okay? Is this safe? What am I doing? What's my part? What's my role? And so they're
I was
thinking as
actually
they're
happy when
watching.
she said, yeah, it was inappropriate, so we brought it to her mom.
Right.
Well, and what happens too is that, like she's saying, those videos come up on the side. So here I am, I'm in YouTube, but I'm not signed in right now. So you see in the top right-hand corner, it says sign in. You actually do into YouTube because that's your way to track what your kids are doing. So if you have your Gmail account and they have their school, they can sign in under their school account and still get to YouTube. So when I click on this button now, it's going to track my history and it's going to show.
Oh, Derek, you're going to talk about it.
It's going to show all of what's going on under this account. So when I click on this little button over here on the left, and if I go down to history, here's where you can see everything that your kid is watching and what they're looking at. So
Is that per device, like?
it's for that account.
Any device that you.
They can sign in
Yeah, any
Yeah.
device or for that.
Yeah.
For that account.
So you can go down and you can see, oh, I must have been in my work account. Lucy grabs my computer and she's watching
Wait,
Justin Bieber and
Go back up.
watching Ellen.
Kristen Bell gets.
Yeah, it is here. So this was watched on my computer. And now, how does that mean that she watched it all the way through? No, it can be that she clicked on it. But look what she was watching. It was like Ellen DeGeneres and different kid videos, and then that pops through. So what a lot of times I do is up top here, see where it says clear watch history? I go through and I click this, and I clear it out, because now what happens is what was watched ends up clearing out.
Yeah, but what if they do that?
And they will.
They're smart.
Kids will do that.
They'll watch it.
Oh, so
Well,
you don't
I'm
know what they
guessing.
watched.
Right.
Then as an investigator, that's a conversation you need to have, like a police officer.
Yep.
What did you delete?
Why?
What are you hiding?
Yep.
I mean, they may not tell you, but at least that's that red flag that we talked about.
And you can't go in and figure that out later on.
If you know me or a parent.
Well, either.
It depends. I can't speak with absolutes in terms of technology and what can be recovered.
But it's a red flag, like you said,
Yeah.
Henry.
The other piece too is down here at the bottom. You see these little buttons down here? Restricted mode is off. This is where you can turn this button to go on to restricted mode. As simple as that. That's gonna put another level on. Now, kids can go and click it off. It's not that it's locked. It's not like there's a password. But by simply clicking just those two features, those are my little takeaways for you today, is that looking at putting that restricted mode on is gonna help filter a little bit. And going into the history to see what they're looking at, and sometimes just clearing that up, is gonna help so they don't keep getting the same videos that are gonna pop through.
How do you, like, create, because my sons now go to YouTube and they just can, take.
Create their own account?
Yeah.
Then that has to be part of your rules at home, your contract.
No, but.
If they break the contract, then there's hopefully will be consequences,
Because
right?
I don't think I have an account for YouTube. Like, they just go and they click and
Right,
they just.
anybody can go and watch videos.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. So that's why you do want to have them sign in under their school account.
Okay.
Because when they're in the school account, they're getting filtered.
Okay.
On your home computer, through our school filter, this has another level that's coming up. And so their school account is their student ID number at lfschools.net.
So you're saying they go to.
Let me rephrase that. Third grade, second grade and up. Second grade and up have that.
They go to the internet, they log into youtube.com, they do sign in with their the ID at lakeforestschools.net.
Yep.
And then they can play on YouTube or whatever.
Yep. And if you don't want to see down here where it doesn't say
It's second grade and up.
right there, the sign in, this is the piece right here that they want to click on. The other piece too is that if you don't want it to mess with your family, your Gmail account and your stuff, what you can do is add them as a user onto your home Chrome. So if on your computer you're using Google Chrome, what you do is up top here on this toolbar, you launch Google Chrome. Show you here. There it is. So here's Chrome. Down here it's this little colorful wheel. As I say, these are the different highways of the internet. Are you a Firefox user? Are you a Safari user? Are you an Internet Explorer? Are you Google Chrome? So this can only be done through Google Chrome because it's a Google product. On the top, there will be a little bar here that says people. You want to add a person. So these are all the different Google accounts that I use on a daily basis, believe it or not. So I have my home account and I have my work account. I have different conferences that I'm part of, and I have a Dear Pan, and I have Never. So click Add Person, and here's how you can add your different people for your family. So now, if I want to go back to my home account, this is going to be different than my school account. So if I'm doing things for a conference, I'm using my home account. If I'm doing stuff for school, I'm using my work account.
And the reason you would have two different accounts is to restrict the age level appropriateness?
So Google Chrome has certain, is there a way you just go into their settings and?
Yeah, so if you go here, underneath this profile, and if you go into my account, here's where you can dig around, and you can put up different levels of privacy through here. So you can change it depending on what you want. So there's like a safe search piece in here. I don't know exactly where my safe search button is at, but somewhere in here. Control your content, I think it is. You have to Google that. I have to use that. So as simple as that. I just Googled turning on safe search in YouTube. How to turn on YouTube safe search. There you go. As simple as that. And that's what you want to look for, is that safe search piece. You're welcome.
I would just like to thank Susie and Conrad and Amy. This was so helpful, and I appreciate the partnership with the parents. Thank you so much for coming. We know that you have busy lives as well. I hope you found this worthwhile. I know I learned many things that I didn't know. I also want to just remind you that next Tuesday, the 8th, 7:45 to 8:45, Superintendent Simic and other members of the administrative team are coming to talk about curriculum conversation. Because there's so many questions that parents have. You may be getting messages from teachers as far as we want to promote this, some of the more traditional methods may be discouraged, and we just feel like it's so important that we open up conversation to let you know what our vision and goals are related to your children's learning, and we give you an opportunity to ask questions. We'll have a few teacher representatives there. And I'm hoping that this time, we had a couple other parent functions. I don't know how you feel if this was difficult to come, but we just thought if you're dropping off your children, stay, and then you're on your way. So any feedback that you have related to the times that we're offering these meetings, I would love to hear from you. but for this next one on Tuesday at 7:45.
7:45 a.m.
7:45. But the
Well, no,
reason
it's I have a fifth grader